Greetings, my dear friends. Dragon here once again. If it's your first time stumbling onto the channel, then do please consider clicking that red button if you like what I do. Okay, getting into a bit of a A to B comparison. This is a look at the recent release by Arrow of 8 Diagram Pole Fighter and how it stacks up against the original kind of UK release from 88 Films. This one was not available in the States. This one is only available in the States. So I'm really trying to answer whether or not, if you already have this one, if you should also consider getting this one. If you don't have either of them, which one should be the best one to get? If you only want to pick one, which one would it be? All those sorts of questions. So kind of let's get into it. This one's been out for a couple of years. And is one that I suspect anybody who's in the UK will already have. I've seen quite a lot of grumbling about the fact that Arrow brought these out as American exclusives. Either people are a bit annoyed that they weren't available in the UK. It can't be. 88 still have the rights for this, so this had to be a US release only. And other people just purely grumbling about the fact that two versions of it were available. That's madness to me, really. If you look at some of the big kind of Hollywood films, and I love the Dark Knight trilogy, but God knows how many versions of those have been released. Huge fan of David Fincher's Seven. I think I bought that movie probably 7 times at this stage. So having 2 copies of probably one of the best kung fu movies ever made available isn't something that worries me at all. Why do I have both? Well, partly because very, very lucky that this was given to me by my good friend Kevin. He very kindly sorted me out with a copy for this, but if he hadn't done so, I would have bought it anyway, really. And the reasons largely is because there's a lot of extra features on this that weren't available at the time when 88 Films put together their version. That alone would make this one a double dip worthy feature for me. You need to have a multi-region player if you're in the UK or if you're in the US in order to be able to access each other region's discs. And for a lot of folks in the States, they don't have multi-region machines, so it's not that much of a surprise that Arrow has chosen to release this one as a US-only exclusive. It opens up the region A market, really, to the American fans who aren't looking to import British releases. So yeah, I think it's no bad thing that we have one in the UK, one in the US. And like I said, let's look at the new one first, 'cause I didn't do an unboxing of this. So we get our slipcover, and depending on where you order this from, if you order it direct from Arrow in Arrow's own website in the States, you'll get a duplicate of this on the slipcover. I actually quite like the alternate artwork. It's by, I think, Mark Aspinall, and it's done a pretty great job. I still prefer the Kung Fu Bob O'Brien cover on the 88 version, and we get a poster with this one too, which is nice. But we also get a booklet here, and the booklet is not to be sniffed at. We'll take a look at this. The booklet is done by the wonderful Terrance J Brady, who wrote the biography of Alexander Fu Sheng, which is an incredible book. I will leave a link down to that in the comments underneath here, because I highly recommend his book. It's fantastic. And he very, very knowledgeable and does a really good job of putting together an article to go inside the little booklet. It's called Wolves at the Door. Really, really great. So it kind of looks at Fu Sheng's place within the movie and the movie overall. Obviously, for those who don't know, which I'm suspecting is probably not many of you, if you're watching this video, this was Fu Sheng's last period kung fu movie. He did have one other movie that came out afterwards, I think Hong Kong Playboys, that he made with Leung, but this was the last time that he would make a kung fu movie at Shaw Brothers. And really, as a result of his passing while the film was being made, changed the narrative of the film. They ended up having to kind of make a slightly different ending than was originally intended. Caraway stepped up to kind of fill the void that was left behind by his untimely passing, but probably one of Lau Kar-leung's best movies, if not his best movie, an absolute masterpiece. I did a full breakdown of this in my top 10 88 Films kind of releases ages ago, one of the first videos that I posted to the channel. So if you want a bit more information about the film, just speaking about the narrative of the film, then go and check that one out. But let's just look again at the 2 discs. So yeah, we get slipcover on both, and a slightly different cover art on the 88 version, but largely the same images, just used a slightly different way. But of course, the incredible Kung Fu Bob O'Brien cover here, which you also get as a reversible cover. And here, and we get a really very, very nice poster, which is just a big version of Bob's art on one side. Here, and we get, not reversible, so no original poster art on the other side, but really, really great. On-disc extras on the 88 version are a bit more limited. We only really get a commentary track. The commentary track on the 88 version is by Scott Harrison. Does a pretty good job. It's quite an academic commentary, but still pretty entertaining. This was the first commentary track that I'd heard for the movie, I think. There wasn't one on the Dragon Dynasty DVD, and there wasn't one on the old Celestial Shaw Brothers DVD, so this is the first time I'd heard a commentary for the film, and he did a pretty good job. I like the commentary track that's on here. The one that's on the Arrow version, however, is much, much better. I'm hugely biased. The one that's on the Arrow release is by Jonathan Clements. He is incredible. He wrote A Brief History of China, long-standing contributor, freelance writer to the anime industry, so he's written a whole bunch of books about different aspects of anime culture. He's incredibly knowledgeable, but also really engaging, and his commentary track's fantastic. Really, really fantastic. One of the best commentary tracks I've heard on a Shaw Brothers release. He's also on the Shawscope box set, does the commentary on Heroes of the East. And if you're looking for a deep dive of more of his commentaries, I'll leave a link down underneath this to 2 of the tracks that you can find on YouTube that he did for old anime releases. So his one for Colgo 13, The Professional, and his one for Vampire Hunter D, which are both fantastic. Like I say, I'll leave links for those. So he does the commentary track that's on here. It is really, really good. Great mix of facts, trivia about the movie, contextualizing the story of the Yangs, which the film is based on, and really does quite a deep dive into the history, but really keeps it very entertaining, keeps it rolling. Still quite a few laughs and jokes in amongst there. One of the better commentary tracks that I've heard on any release, really. Kind of 2 thumbs way up for Jonathan Clements. But the big draw really for me on this release, the reason for double dipping for me alone would have been the Frederic Ambrosin archive interviews that are on here. There's 3, they're all quite lengthy. You get a 20-minute long interview with Gordon Liu, which is fantastic. He speaks about this film specifically, speaks about its impact on his career and his impact of Fu Sheng's passing on him when they were making the film, because it does kind of hang over the production like quite a dark cloud, understandably. It makes it one of Lau Kar-leung's most violent and darkest movies. There's almost none of his comedy that you normally see in most of his movies. Almost none of this is played for laughs at all. It's a pretty dark toned and pretty somber movie all round, but really absolutely fantastic. The other 2 interviews run for slightly longer. There's one with Lily Lee, which runs for about 32 minutes. She plays the mother of the Yang clan. And then my favourite of the bunch is the interview with Ching, aka Rita Yeung. Again, runs for about 32 minutes, and amazing. There's not really enough attention paid to her as a performer, as a martial artist. Incredibly gifted martial artist before she was an actor, and is still teaching martial arts today. I will also leave a link down to her YouTube channel. Please subscribe to that. She's incredibly nice. She, I'm sure, would be very, very grateful of the subscribers, and the interview that's on here is fantastic. She kind of goes through really how she started at Shaw's, what it was like working on this film specifically, and also kind of speaks about her career overall. Really, really, really good. Highly recommended. So you get that's over an hour and 20 minutes of Shaw Brothers archival interviews with the stars that you're not going to find anywhere else. These Frederic Ambrosin archives are truly incredible. The fact that these are now being used by Arrow Films and also by 88 Films on some of their more recent releases. I think from the Chinese boxer onwards, they started working with him too. But yeah, an absolute treasure trove, really. It's incredible seeing what he was able to put together. So the interviews, I think, were about 2004 for the most part, but hold up really, really well. And he asks the questions that you would want to ask of the stars that were actually in the movie. And it's great hearing them speak about the production and their experiences on it. As much as I love commentary tracks, there's no better place to hear than straight from the actors that were actually involved in the productions, really. It's just gold. We also get a 6-minute long tribute to Fu Sheng that I think was from a German archive that somebody was able to find. I suspect that's probably come from Iron God, if I had to guess, but in pretty ropey quality, but gives you a chance to see what the movie looked like before it was restored, as the original theatrical trailer also does. The movie itself looks incredible on both versions. I think between the two, not a huge amount of difference, though the version that's on here is entirely newly remastered from original negative and has the 80s Shaw Brothers logo, which you don't often see. Normally you would just see the same logo that Celestial would put on all the beginnings of the films. This runs slightly longer. It's not because there's extra scenes, it's just because they've gone back to the original negatives, and Celestial had a habit where if there was kind of damage to the ends of reels, they'd sometimes clip. So you add up all those seconds from the end of the different shots and it mounts to about 3 minutes difference. And the other extras on here, you also get a 22-minute long kind of video essay on the piece by Tony Raines. Tony Raines, fantastic. His work on the Shawscope box set was really, really good. It's great seeing him back here, and what he's put together for the film is really great. Really, it's interesting hearing him speak. But I think between his little 22-minute feature and the Jonathan Clements commentary, I think the Jonathan Clements commentary is probably the one that I would go to first, and we'll probably go back to again. Love Tony Raines, but I think Jonathan Clements has just done an absolutely incredible job. So overall, I think if you only are going to buy one release, you don't have either of them, and you do have a multi-region machine if you're in the UK, or if you're in the US, get the Arrow version. I think it's the most well put together in terms of extra features. It's a more recent version, so they've been able to really build on the other releases that have been out over the last couple of years, and Arrow are really kind of hitting their stride now with Shaw Brothers releases. But 88 Films, they've been doing this for a while now. This, I think, was spine number 25, and they're up to 32 now. So if you're into buying numbered series, which they've sucker punched me now, there's no way I'm not going to buy every single one of the numbered editions that they put out on their little Shaw Brothers range. I think it's the only numbered collection series that I have every single one of, and I will continue to do so. So I'll always support 88 Films. So I don't mind that there's two different versions of the same movie at all. But if you're only going to pick one, I'd say pick the Arrow one if you have the ability to play it, if you've got a multi-region machine, or if you're in the States. If you already have this one, should you buy this one? Really comes down to the extras. It comes down to how much you are interested in that sort of thing. If you like having more information about the stars of the movie, that type of interview footage, then this is just gold. I don't think you'll find these interviews in any other place. Really, I wasn't expecting to kind of see so many interviews with the stars on some of these releases that have been coming out in the last year or so. And it's just, for somebody who's liked Shaw Brothers movies for, God, over 20 years, it's just an absolute joy, really, for me. Being able to actually kind of hear straight from the horse's mouth. And so long may this continue. I hope we see a lot more of the Frederick Ambrosine archives making an appearance on these releases. But yeah, I think to keep it simple, if you don't have any, buy this one. If you already have this one, and you care about extras, definitely buy this one if you can. So I think it's well worth double dipping for this movie. It's really, if you're not going to double dip for this, then there's nothing that's going to make you double dip. It's one of the all-time absolute greatest kung fu movies ever made. Guys, that is it. If you want to see me do one of these for Come Drink With Me, because there was also an 88 version and an Arrow version of that, I will happily do so. There's not as wild a difference in terms of the extras on those. There's some pretty great extras that are on the Arrow version again, but yeah, we can do a separate video on that if you want me to. But thank you very, very much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Take care.